I felt like my life was a ship and a big torpedo had been detonated into the side of it, and it had a gaping hole and it was taking on water really fast. And I was equipped on deck with a plastic bucket, and it was my job to save this sinking ship.
Stephanie Pauline's teenage years were filled with anger and pain. But her life didn't start out that way.
My parents loved me and my sister and my brother very much. I accepted Christ when I was 4 years old, and we went to church regularly. I went to a good private school. It was a wonderful school where I really encountered Jesus.
But Stephanie's family had a dark secret.
My father has had a long struggle with alcoholism, and that created a lot of chaos growing up.
Fighting and arguments filled her home.
I would say a series of things happened in a very short duration of time where a lot of my parents' stuff just erupted, and the family all but disintegrated at that time.
Stephanie came home one day and found out her mother had packed up and left her husband and children. Her father's drinking only got worse.
I'm not going to get into details, but just suffice it to say that a lot of traumatizing things happened in a very short period of time, and I felt like anything that meant anything to me was ripped away just one after another after another.
She felt like God had disappeared from her life too.
He must have forgotten about me somewhere along the way, and that hurt me just beyond words. So I squared my shoulders, I set my jaw, and I said, all right then, forget you. Within like 6 months' time, I went from being an honor roll student to failing all my classes.
She dropped out of school at 15 and moved in with her boyfriend when she was 16.
We robbed people, dealt drugs, did some pretty crazy things.
Drugs helped deaden the pain.
Mostly pot, shrooms, acid, a little bit of coke, and some prescription stuff. There were no dreams, no ambitions, no goals, no conscience.
But then she got pregnant, which made her re-examine her life.
I thought, this child didn't ask to be born into this, and this child deserves something better. Then I had my baby boy, and I stared into the face of a real, live miracle. And I knew I had been expecting, but man, I had not been expecting that. And there and then the thought got in, and it was almost imperceptible, but it was this. Perhaps, just maybe, God loves me still a little bit. And maybe he hasn't forgotten about me entirely after all.
Stephanie was alone and with a little boy to raise named Trevor. She knew she needed to return to the faith she knew as a little girl. In her brokenness, she cried out to God.
I needed him. More than I needed answers, more than I needed my dignity, more than I needed anything, I needed my God.
Her sister invited her to go to church.
I remember going there and had my little boy toddling alongside me, but I was received and loved, and that's where I received a lot of understanding for these questions that I had about all the things that had happened in my life. And if the truth is that God loves us so much that he sent his son to die for us, if that is the truth, man, that changes everything. That changes everything. If God loves me like that, if he wants to be intimately involved with my life, with my destiny, with my day, my moment, right here, right now, that changes everything.
Stephanie says her walk with the Lord has been a step-by-step process.
We were never meant to do this alone. He made us to draw on his strength every moment, and it makes sense that we're stumbling around without him. We were never meant to do this without him.
8 years later, she met a youth pastor named Nathan. They fell in love and married.
Whatever she does, whoever she interacts with, she's wanting to do whatever she can to make that person see God more clearly.
Today, Stephanie Pauline is a Christian singer and songwriter. In 2007, Nathan and Stephanie added a little girl named Aria to their family. Over the years, many areas of Stephanie's life have healed. Her mother eventually returned home, and now both her mother and father play a loving and supportive role in her life.
If God can save me with the devastation that was in my heart at the time, then He can save anybody. And there's nothing He can't heal. And I believe that with all my heart.